Hey Booktube, I'm Nicole and this is Dusty Book Sniffers Friday Classics. And today we're talking about Daphne Du Maurier's Rebecca. So let's get started. Good morning or good evening everybody, no matter where you're watching from. Thank you for taking some time out of your day and spending it with me while I prattle on about the books that I have read. So today we are talking Friday Classics, although today's a modern classic. It's classed as a modern classic. It was first published in 1938 and it has 428 pages, and I have given this a 3.5 star rating, bordering on 4th. Now, I have never read anything by Daphne Du Maurier. She is now an author that is going to appear more on my channel because I absolutely loved this book. And you know what I love? Like, everybody's heard Daphne Du Maurier. Even I've heard of who she is. I mean, there's movies and everything out there. And basically, like you pick up a book and you think, oh, I don't know if I'm going to, because you've never picked it up before. And then you read it and you go, oh my God, why have I not read this book before? Why have I not read anything by this author before? And Daphne Du Maurier is one of those authors. So I'm really happy that I ended up joining a group read, which was with Read Fine Books. And I'll link up all her channel details down below. And you can go and check her out. She's got a couple of good group reads that I've joined in the past, and she's got some future ones coming up as well. So I was really happy to have read this, and it is I don't know what sort of genre to put it in because it was sort of a mystery and also thrilling at the same time. I will say that I done immersive reading with this. I listened and read along with it. And I like doing that because I get drawn, especially with new authors, because it draws me into their books a little bit more, and it helps me make a more informed decision about whether I want to read more from that author or not. Like, I'm relatively new to audiobooks because I didn't realize that I could speed them up and listen to them at a faster pace. If they're at normal pace, I don't deal with audiobooks at all. So if you're a person that listens to them at number one, I'm not going to be listening to it with you. My husband listens to them at that rate so he can stretch them out, but they put me to sleep. It's like someone's reading to me. So I always speed my books up, and I don't know whether that's a good thing or a bad thing because it ends up sounding normal to me, like at a normal pace. I speak fast, and a lot of people around me speak fast. There's a lot of YouTube channels that I have to speed up because they're speaking too slow for me. And I think that's just my personal preference. But, yeah, so I digressed a little bit, but that's what I like to do. I like to, especially with a new author, I like to get drawn into the story, and listening to the audio helps me do that. And as I said, I'm relatively new to that form of reading, and I just love it. I just absolutely love it. It's my new favorite way of reading. My husband thinks I'm nuts, but anyway, that's neither here nor there. But so we're going to talk a little bit more about Rebecca. As I said, I've thoroughly enjoyed it, and I got the feeling it is definitely a mystery. And there's a little bit of thriller thrown in there as well, and a little bit of a shock at the end of it. I was quite surprised at the ending. Did not see that coming at all. I had a sneaking suspicion at one stage that something wasn't quite right with the male character's story, but I didn't think it was going to be that. But anyway, I thought it was something completely different. Anyway, when she's in the south of France, and she is like a companion to an elderly lady, and where she meets a gentleman called Maxim de Winter, who has recently lost his wife. It's been about 12 months. Anyway, they meet each other, they hit it off, and they enjoy each other's company, so much so that they end up being together and they get married. And so then she is taken back to his house, where she comes back to somewhat of a frosty reception from the house staff. And basically it goes on from there. So she is living in this house in the shadow of his wife, his previous wife, who died. And she died under tragic circumstances. I'm not going to say how she died, so if you haven't read this book, you won't be spoiled it, because I'm highly recommending that you go and get this, whether you get it on Kindle or you buy the physical or you get the audio. I'm recommending that you go and do that. And so basically she's feeling out of place, like she's feeling like she's living in her shadow, and that she's not as good as the previous Mrs. De Winter. And the housekeeper does not help her at all, like does not help the cause at all, like in most cases actually sabotages her a little bit. Is quite a, for lack of a better term, the housekeeper was a bitch. An absolute bitch. And so, yeah, so basically, I really did not like the housekeeper. And she just was up to no good and really trying to undermine her place in the house. And so it's following that story. And then the previous wife died in some tragic circumstances, but there's a little bit of mystery around it. And the story that the husband's telling just doesn't quite add up to what it should be. And then there's a few other characters come in that just throw that shadow, like throw some shade over it, and and just make you think, something's not quite right here. And how it ended just blew me away. Like I was impressed with the ending. And I really, really enjoyed it. Like I couldn't put it down. I actually read this in one sitting. As I said, it's got 428 pages in it. I started reading it early in the morning. I finished it that night. But as I did, when I immersive read, I read a lot faster because I'm hearing the words and I'm following along as well. And it just makes for a really quick read. So if you haven't tried immersive reading, you really should give it a go. It is a really good way to read, especially if it's a new author. You get to understand their writing a little bit better and what they're about and all that sort of stuff. But I've given it a 3.5-star rating. When I did give it, because I can only give 3 stars on Goodreads, Maria thought I didn't like it, but I did. I have a pretty high grading for like a 4-star and a 5-star. Really has to knock me right out of the park, like right out of the park. It has to be lingering with me for days to come and stuff like that. And that's the sort of the 4-star rating. A 3-star rating is a good read, but it's an average read for me. So, it's not a bad book. Even though I've given it a 3.5, so it's bordering up to being a phenomenal book, but even on Goodreads, it's only got 3 stars, but I loved it. I actually really love this, and I'm so glad that I decided to do it. And I love the cover. Like, the cover's just beautiful. But if you haven't read anything by Daphne Du Maurier, pick this up, give it a read. Let me know in the comments below what you thought of the book if you have read it. And if you do read it, come back, let me know what you thought, because I'd be interested to see what you have to say. But that is my take on Rebecca from Daphne Du Maurier. If you haven't yet, like this video and subscribe to the channel, and I will see